Part 3, Ancient Defenses Awakened. Nari looked at him with her large, strange eyes. I think there is much I did not understand about humans before. You found me. You helped me. You did not call your leaders or your soldiers. Not all humans would have helped, June admitted. Not all Valari would help a human, Nari replied. As the days passed, June and Nari learned more about each other. June taught Nari about human customs, showed her his books and research. Nari told June about her world, with its 2 moons and beautiful crystal cities. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset, Nari suddenly turned to June. We must go to my ship soon, she said. Others might find it. Bad for both our peoples. If wrong humans find Valari technology. June nodded. We'll go tomorrow. I'll help you get what you need. As the sun disappeared behind the mountains, June realized he had mixed feelings. He wanted to help Nari get home, but the thought of her leaving made him sad. In just a few days, this visitor from another world had changed everything he thought he knew. June and Nari set out for the crash site early the next morning. The forest was quiet except for birds singing and the crunch of leaves under their feet. Nari wore June's old jacket and hat to hide her alien features just in case they met anyone. How far to the ship? Nari asked, her translator device working better after June had helped her fix it. About 3 hours walking, June replied. We should reach it by noon. As they hiked through the trees, June noticed something strange. Fresh tire tracks cut through a normally unused forest path. Someone with vehicles had been here recently. His worry grew when he saw broken branches and footprints that weren't there days ago. Someone's been in these woods, June whispered to Nari. Many people. Nari's face showed concern. My people have always worried about your government finding us. They have special groups that look for beings like me. They moved more carefully, now stopping often to listen. When they were about a mile from the crash site, they heard voices ahead. June motioned for Nari to get down, and they crawled forward to look from behind some bushes. What they saw made June's heart sink. The crash site was now a busy work area. Men in black uniforms and scientists in white coats were all around Nari's ship. They had set up tents, lights, and equipment. Armed guards stood at the edges of the clearing. Government agents, June whispered. They found your ship. Too late, Nari said sadly. Now I cannot go home. Just then, June overheard 2 men talking nearby. Agent Day wants the alien found within 48 hours, one said. He's sure it survived the crash. There were footprints leading away. The locals said a scientist lives in a cabin a few miles from here, the other replied. We're checking it out. Today. June grabbed Nari's arm. We need to go. Now. They're coming to my cabin. They backed away slowly, then turned and ran as quietly as possible. When they were far enough away, June stopped to think. We can't go back to my cabin. We need to get the parts from your ship, but it's impossible with all those guards. Nari's tendrils moved thoughtfully. Not impossible. My people are good at not being seen. I can teach you. That night they camped in a small cave June knew about. Nari explained that her suit had stealth technology that was still working. She could become nearly invisible for short periods. If June created a distraction, she might be able to slip into the ship and get the parts they needed. It's too dangerous, June argued. It is the only way, Nari replied firmly. They returned to the crash site after midnight. The area was lit with floodlights, but there were fewer people now. Most were sleeping in the tents, with just a few guards patrolling. Be careful, June whispered as Nari activated her suit's stealth function. Her body seemed to fade until she was just a faint outline. Wait for my signal, she said, then moved silently toward the ship. June circled around to the far side of the camp. When he was in position, he threw a large rock far into the trees. It crashed loudly through branches. Just as he hoped, the guards all looked that way, and 2 went to check it out. Using the distraction, Nari slipped into her ship, through the damaged section. June waited anxiously, counting the minutes. 5 passed, then 10. Something was wrong. Just as he was about to risk moving closer, an alarm sounded in the camp. Lights flashed and guards started running. June's heart sank. Nari had been caught. Without thinking, he grabbed a fallen branch and ran into the camp, yelling to create confusion. Guards turned toward him, but he dodged between the tents, making as much noise as possible. His plan worked. Guards chased him, leaving other areas unguarded. In the chaos, June spotted Nari slipping out of the ship, her stealth only partly working now. She was clutching a small bag. Their eyes met across the camp, and June nodded. They both ran in different directions. June led the guards on a wild chase through the forest. One guard fired a shot that grazed his arm. The pain was sharp, but he kept running. Finally, he lost them by crossing a stream and hiding in a hollow. Hours later, cold and in pain, June made it to their meeting spot, a tall pine tree they had marked earlier. Nari was already there, waiting anxiously. "You're hurt," she gasped, seeing the blood on his arm. "It's just a scratch," June said, though it hurt badly. "Did you get the parts?" Nari nodded, showing him the small bag. "Yes, but the price was too high." She gently cleaned his wound with water from her suit, then applied a strange gel that immediately dulled the pain. "Why did you risk yourself for me?" she asked softly. June had no good answer. He just knew he couldn't let her be captured. "We should move," he said instead. "They'll search this whole forest now." As they walked through the night, heading toward the mountains where the old Valari outpost was located, June realized something had changed between them. In saving each other, they had formed a bond that neither had expected. The mountain path grew steeper as June and Nari climbed higher. 3 days had passed since they escaped from Agent Day's team. They had been traveling, mostly at night, hiding during the day. June's arm was healing well thanks to Nari's alien medicine, but they were both tired and hungry. "How much farther to the outpost?" June asked, breathing hard as they rested on a rocky ledge. "Not far now," Nari said, looking at a small device from her bag. "Maybe half a day's climb. It is hidden in the rocks near the top." They shared the last of their food, some dried berries and nuts June had brought. The air was getting colder as they climbed higher. Snow covered the ground in patches, and the wind bit through their clothes. When we reached the outpost, Nari said quietly, "I can call my people. They will come for me." June nodded but said nothing. He knew this was the goal, to help Nari get home. Yet the thought of her leaving made him feel empty inside. "Tell me about your world," he said as they started walking again. The night was cool and quiet in the forest where June lived alone. He stood on his cabin porch looking up at the stars with his old telescope. June liked being alone with the trees and animals. He came here 2 years ago after leaving his job at the university. Tonight the sky was extra clear. Suddenly June saw something bright shoot across the sky. At first he thought it was just a shooting star, but then it did something strange. It changed direction. Stars don't do that. It moved in a zigzag pattern before dropping down behind the trees about 3 miles away. A bright flash lit up the distant tree line. That was no meteor, June whispered to himself, his heart beating fast. He quickly packed his backpack with a first aid kit, flashlight, water, and some food. Whatever fell might be dangerous, but June's curiosity was stronger than his fear. He had been studying strange lights in the sky for months. Maybe this was his chance to find answers. The forest was dark and full of sounds as June hiked through it. His flashlight beam bounced between trees as owls hooted above. He followed the direction where he saw the light fall, checking his compass, often to stay on track. After 2 hours of difficult hiking, June smelled something burning. The air had a strange metallic smell he had never encountered before. Then he saw it. Trees knocked down in a line leading to a small clearing. In the middle sat something that made June freeze in his tracks. It was a ship, but not like any plane or helicopter. It was round and smooth, about the size of a small car. The metal-like material glowed faintly with blue light along strange patterns on its surface. Part of it was broken open, revealing a dark space inside. "This can't be real," June said, but he knew what he was seeing. An alien spacecraft had crashed in his forest. June approached slowly, every step careful and quiet. The ship had cooled enough that he could touch it. The material felt strange, not quite metal, not quite plastic. He peered inside the broken section, shining his flashlight. That's when he saw her. Inside the ship was a person, or something that looked almost like a person. She appeared female, with a face and body similar to a human woman's, but there were clear differences. Her skin had a blue shine to it, and instead of hair, she had thin, moving tendrils around her head. Her eyes were closed, but June could see they were larger than human eyes. She wasn't moving. A silver liquid that must be her blood was coming. From cuts on her arm and forehead, June had a choice. He could leave and call the authorities. That would be the smart thing to do. But something told him that would be a bad idea. If the government took her, who knows what they would do. Besides, she was hurt. June was a biologist, not a doctor, but he knew enough about first aid. "Hello? Can you hear me?" June asked, knowing she probably wouldn't understand. The alien didn't respond. She was breathing, but just barely. June carefully checked her injuries. The cuts weren't too deep, but she had lost a lot of the silver blood. Making a quick decision, June gently lifted her from the ship. She was lighter than she looked. He wrapped his jacket around her and started the long walk back to his cabin. "You're going to be okay," June told her, though he wasn't sure if that was true. "I'll help you." As he carried her through the dark forest, June felt strangely calm. His whole life might change after tonight, but right now, all that mattered was helping this injured visitor from the stars. Back at his cabin, June placed her carefully on his bed. He cleaned her wounds with water and wrapped them with bandages. The alien remained unconscious, but her breathing seemed stronger. June sat in a chair by the bed, watching her. Who was she? Where did she come from? Would she be friendly when she woke up? He had so many questions, but they would have to wait. Outside, the first light of dawn was breaking. A new day was beginning, and June's life would never be the same again. 3 days passed before the alien girl woke up. June had been checking on her every hour, changing her bandages and cleaning her wounds. The silver blood had slowly stopped flowing, and her cuts were healing faster than any humans would. June was making soup in the kitchen when he heard a crash from the bedroom. He rushed in to find the alien girl standing by the bed, holding a lamp like a weapon. A chair had been knocked over. Her large eyes were wide with fear. "It's okay," June said softly, holding his hands up to show he meant no harm. "I'm not going to hurt you." The alien backed away until she hit the wall. The thin tendrils around her head moved quickly, like they were sensing the air. She said something in a language June couldn't understand. Her voice was musical but full of fear. "My name is June," he said, pointing to himself. "I found you in your ship. You were hurt." The alien seemed to study him. Then she touched a small device on her wrist. It glowed briefly, then flickered and went dark. She hit it twice and it glowed again, but weaker than before. "Damaged," she said in perfect Korean, surprising June. "Translation system damaged." You speak my language?" June asked, amazed. "Learning. Device learns patterns, translates." She pointed to her wrist device. "Not perfect." June smiled and pulled a chair over, sitting down to appear less threatening. "What's your name?" The alien made a sound that June couldn't possibly repeat. Seeing his confusion, she pointed to a small flower in a vase by the window. "Similar to that?" "Nari," June said. "It means lily in my language." "Nari," she repeated, touching her chest. "Yes." Over the next few hours, as Nari grew more comfortable, she explained more about herself. Her translation device improved the more they talked. She was from a planet she called Valor. Her people were called the Valari. She had been sent to study Earth and humans from a distance. "Not supposed to make contact," she explained as they shared a meal. Nari was hesitant at first, but found she could eat some human foods. Too soon. Humans not ready. "Not ready for what?" June asked. "The truth. That you are not alone." Nari touched her device again. Ship broke. Emergency systems failed. My people think I am dead. June felt sad for her. Can you contact them somehow? Nari looked out the window at the forest. Maybe. There is an old watching place in the mountains, has equipment, need parts from my ship to make it work. I'll help you, June promised. That night, as Nari slept, June sat outside looking at the stars. Somewhere up there was Nari's home. He wondered what it looked like, what her people were like. He had so many questions. The next morning, June showed Nari around his cabin and the surrounding forest. She was fascinated by everything, the trees, the birds, even simple things like June's books and music player. We watch humans for many years, she told him as they walked by a stream. But watching is not same as being here. Why do you watch us? June asked. To learn if you are ready to join the other worlds, Nari said. Some Valari think humans too dangerous, too violent. Others think humans have potential. What do you think? June asked.